Alright, we're finally done with the obnoxious. Oh, jeez. We're finally done with the obnoxious desert. Heading back to town, and to go to solidify an annoyance that we've been dealing with for a while. Whether it be Red Mantis or Grey Maiden. Heading straight back into the city, we're off. Then on our new goal of taking out the lovely training facility for all of the Grey Maidens. Lovely enough. Just has to be a sewer, of course. And as we enter into the sewer, it's a noticeable change when they have their lovely guard dog, a Catobellipus. Of course, not quite as green and more sewer covered and crusted, and swiftly sliced down without a problem. Not exactly the brightest beast to ever go with. And looking for the secret entrance was a little trickier than you'd expect until you realize we've given proper instructions for those who could spot it. The greatest couldn't exactly spot much with his capabilities. He wasn't very attentive to the world. In which case, we finally head inside, and, shockingly, are greeted by a bar. Run by what appears to be a small goblin. Offering us drinks was quite an excitement, and the obvious disdain for it. We tricked the poor thing. In a conversation following through, he services our drinks. As we always do, we semi-forced him into being tricked, into drinking his own drinks, which in all accounts was poison. Fleeing as quickly as possible from the newly found poison in his system, we smile on and head in deep. Walking inside, we realize this cave was a little more secured than it was supposed to be. As the first thing we encounter is a lovely dispelling mist, which does nothing, because we do no prep of spells beforehand, so we walk through, feel a light splash, and then head inside. Encountering a group of Grey Maidens, being led by this could be a butchering one, because it's a Manananagal. The upper half of some of the Grey Maidens, now reborn into a monstrous form. Of course, the first thing they did was fear effects through the use of spells, which promptly and securely got removed by their own security devices. Hilariously watching Barbarian flee from combat, step into the dispelling mist, and stop. Probably not the greatest security system in the world to think of, but I mean, it delayed it for half a turn, I guess. Half a turn worth of delay. Such a terrible idea. Taking them down, we head into the major cave, where it turns out majority of the security force were hiding. It is which we find, like all of the major cast points played out. We run into Cinnabar, we run into the priestess, we've run into the lovely Azada, all of which standing in the room, ready to take us on. Convenient for us, because that means the less we have to seek out. Heading in, we slash down more Grey Maidens, reaching probably one of the more helpful people. Because of this situation, we fight and slash and go, the priestess herself teleporting away as Cinnabar is sliced down. Someone who was probably forced and coerced, and also another shining example of why the Grey Maidens were tortured into this problem. Fleeing us, we probably never see her again, because she unfortunately gets taken down for retreating. Funny enough, when you have a threat to do your job, and you flee, not feeling bad for you anymore. Noticeably, we see chambers that appear to be rooms, assumingly for the Grey Maidens we keep taking out and going with. As we head in, we find that this is part church, torture chambers. Opting to go to the right, because we're just habitable people on that one, we wander around, seeing cell after cell after cell. Running into a Grey Maiden wielding a flaming weapon. Immediately, the enchantress gets the genius idea of starting to use her enchants to dominate the minds of all of Grey Maidens. Several maidens in, and the new flaming commander at our side, we begin marching around the building, discovering more and more interesting situation. Wandering forward, we march out to go and deal with it. Most of this problem solver was exploring and seeking and searching. Nothing too spectacular beyond just putting Grey Maidens down after each other. Running into a fairly attractive golden-haired elf, which once again falls under the domination spells to add to the collection. We now have 4 of them, 4 Grey Maidens guards under our servitude, and 2 fairly powerful commanders, who for one become very helpful around this problem solver circumstance. Clearing out more and more and more as we wander through, we find plenty of Grey Maidens to settle problems down. Seeking out and destroying, we have several. It's surprisingly not quite as far extent as you go. Lots of combat, not a lot of talking. And with this, taking out this small little section of it, the training courts, does help the ever-growing collection of the rebellion, bolstering our numbers with Grey Maiden recruits that we have saved from being tortured until they become subservient. Needless to say, collecting some of the more stuff. Happenstancely, we do wander around a bit, seeking out and knocking open a door, finding someone surprisingly still alive, albeit very tortured and very down on his luck. We do happen to find Marcus, the archer from the beginning of the book too, who had struck down the queen with an arrow, freeing him from his now tortured state of being under magic and severely beaten. We heal him up and remove his mind affecting. Another bolstering effect for our rebellion. Of course, was kind of funny to see him in the enfeebled situation, seeing as he was in the state of being basically a toddler, crying and screaming of fear. We free him from his lovely mind trap, and we head back to the surface. Not much to impress ourselves with, just a lot of violence. Beyond that, the barkeep was probably the most interesting part, and he seems to have been freed from his contract, to say the least. As we head back to Cassinda to get the loveliness. And now we gain more information to every other problems. Zalera herself influenced to help our judgment to go. Returning from the deck of cards, she guides us into a new path, speaking fondly of how she now knows there is a kindred spirit and a weapon hidden in Scarwall's chambers, confirming the fact that the blade that we need is in fact hidden away in Scarwall itself. She herself now can provide some minor buffs if we so need. But overall, in the end, we now head off towards Scarwall, the forgotten castle and claims of undeath, acquiring more and more power. And the amount of missed NPCs because we're just simply violent enough is funny. But we've slain enough of them to go through. And now we head to acquire the weapon to help take down the queen herself, and furthermore, every other solutions. Overall, and then I will see you next time. hanging out in our new territory, the Scarwall. The Greedus' formal castle till he gets the true king. Bye bye!